Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another update overview for The Sims 4. This one is for December 5th, 2023. We actually got two updates today, because one we got at the usual 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but a second one dropped about an hour later. I think the second one was to fix the one issue that is for rent that was listed, where they fixed an issue where rent could go into the negatives or be excessively high. So that is good they managed to fix that before the final release. But there is some new content to go over which we'll be focusing on, so let's get right into it. Starting off in Create a Sim, we have a new full body outfit for the feminine frame. I think it looks pretty good. I like that there is a pretty decent mixture of both pattern and plain swatches. I think it is pretty usable overall. I think this would actually be a pretty good one to use with the party wear category that I often don't really put all that much into, even as someone who spends a lot of time in Create a Sim. I do wish this was also available on the masculine frame by default, but taking off the tags, here is what that looks like. There's also some new pajamas. Well, they're probably new to quite a few of us anyways, because these were originally a perk for subscribing to EA Play on console, which was just such a weird move. But yeah, now everyone has them. So this is a set of pajamas where you have the top and the bottoms that directly match with each other, and they're available for all age groups, except for infants. I don't think we had that age group in the game yet, but it would have been nice if they had updated these pajamas to be available for them too. But it is just basically some recolors of existing items. They're okay, I guess, though. At least they're free content, so I'll probably use this sometimes. And I do love the idea of just matching the whole family with the same outfit. So, you remember the radiator from Vampires? No longer is it purely decorative. If you have seasons, you can now turn it on or even sync it up with your thermostat's temperature. This is what they should have done back when Seasons first released, but for rent, we'll have two more radiators as well as an AC unit, and those will function as well if you have Seasons. You can even get this nice little buff, warm surroundings from the radiator. Nothing beats having the warm and fuzzies. Then we have what may be the most exciting part of this update, which is the ability to set sync type. So now when you click on any sync, there's a set sync type interaction. It defaults to all, but then you can set it to be a kitchen or bathroom sync. So kitchen makes it so that Sims can wash their dishes autonomously in the sink, but not wash their hands. And with the bathroom sink, Sims can autonomously wash their hands, but not do the dishes where they go and use the toilet and possibly angry poop. I haven't played with this extensively, of course, since the update just came out today, but at least with this one instance with my Snowy Escape household, it did work out. I set the kitchen sink to be kitchen and bathroom sink to be bathroom, and Miki went and washed the dishes in the kitchen sink. So yay! Hopefully this will hold up with all my other households. Speaking of other households, we can switch households in a different way now instead of always having to go to manage worlds. You remember how in The Sims 2 you could switch to another lot just by clicking on it if it happened to be within view? It's a little similar to that. What you do in The Sims 4 is you click on a neighbor's front door, and there's now a switch control to this household interaction. From there, you can save and then switch to the household, or just switch to the other household right away. And then after the usual loading screen, which by the way, this is a mod here in the footage by 20th Century Plumbob. It's a really nice one that actually does fit the Sims 2 vibe now that I'm talking about that game. But yeah, that's not part of the updates. But switching to the households through that method is pretty useful for the city living apartment shells as well as the residential rentals in For Rent. But I feel they're nearly useless in terms of the regular base game residential lots, because you can't activate that interaction just by clicking on it. You have to physically visit the residence, load up the lot, and then you have the option. So the only reason I could think of using it in that scenario is if I happen to already be visiting that household and then I just feel like switching over to them instead of continuing with whatever household I was currently playing as. So they might as well just rip a page out of Sims 2's book entirely by having it so that you can just click on the neighboring lot to see the switch to household interaction, and not only by clicking on a neighbor's front door. The last addition is a house rules feature, which was already in Snowy Escape but is now being made available for everyone. So you can click on the men's or women's shoe rack and you have three options: allow shoes indoors, remove shoes indoors, and wear slippers indoors. So now when your Sims go outside or inside, then they will put on their shoes or remove them or put on slippers. At least most of the time anyway. Sometimes Sims feel a little bit mischievous and keep their shoes on inside anyways and get a playful buff alongside it. This is one of those cases where I actually don't mind a feature from a paid DLC being made free, because it is a relatively minor feature compared to the rest of the features in Snowy Escape. And also, yeah, we are getting another Asian-inspired world in the form of Tamarang, but also it makes sense as a more global feature because as someone who lives in Canada, it is pretty normal to take your shoes off when you're in the house. So really, it would have made even more sense if it had been a free feature all along. I also tested this with a mod by Sepsid that changes the animation to be more realistic, so that there isn't the tornado feet that you saw, but now they take on and off their shoes, which I much prefer. And the mod seems to still work fine, so it doesn't look like anything about this interaction itself was changed. It's just that it is now available to everyone who has updated their game to the latest version. Now, there's one last thing I want to talk about that has already made the rounds on Twitter. It's a pretty big deal, but it might not be intentional, especially that it wasn't in the patch notes. I mean, neither was the Radiator update for vampires, but this is a different thing because now we can move and entirely delete and replace the windows on the apartment shell buildings in City Living and Eco Lifestyle. But it is a little wonky, like especially with this one that I tried in Grimm's Quarry and Evergreen Harbor. I can even remove windows that are not attached to the playable unit and can even attempt to sell those doors, but since there's no actual cost for those doors when you try to sell them, it doesn't do anything. But I would say if you mess around with this, do not save your game, because I'm afraid that if they patch this and you've saved changes with these shells, then it could break your save at worst, or at best, if you do want to change the wallpaper and windows again, you're screwed unless you start another save. Hopefully sooner rather than later they can put out an official statement about this. I mean, they even have that Sims Direct account on Twitter now to specifically address things like that. So crossing my fingers, sooner or later they will at least say something, even if they can't fix it right away. And that is it for this update. So overall I'd say it's okay. It has some nice stuff in it. But typically the updates that come out right before an expansion pack are the biggest ones of the year and have more substantial content to it. So it's really strange how both the Horse Ranch one and this don't really have much to say in terms of like a really big thing. It's like with this, okay, the biggest thing I guess is the ability to set a kitchen or bathroom sink. It doesn't feel like it's saying all that much, even though it is hopefully fixing a long-running, very annoying issue with this game. But yeah, it's definitely nothing compared to other updates we've had in the past. Like just before Get Famous, we got the terrain tools and some other stuff. Or even with Growing Together this year, we got the whole new life stage of infants. So I'm not sure if this is what to expect of pre-pack updates going forward, or if it was just like, oh, okay, they spent so much budget on the infants that they didn't have really as much left for free content coming out this year. On the other hand, though, maybe it's just that there really aren't that many huge free features left that they could add. I mean, cars and spiral stairs for sure, But apart from that, I mean, there's plenty of other free stuff they could add, but they wouldn't be like huge hype driving things like infants or toddlers or terrain tools or pools. But that's pretty much all I have to say for now, so feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below on this update, and be sure to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with my latest gaming content. I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!